Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Unapologetically Wild with me. I'm so excited because I have an event that I'm running, a free event this weekend. Oh my God. And I am so fucking pumped because what I love the most is when I run events, I get to embody a new part of me and a new level of my leadership, right? Because when you're leading and you're running these sorts of things, you have to embody it. Because if you don't embody it, you don't actually get to feel the magnetism and what the women are journeying. And this is a really beautiful piece, and I love this about events. And this one being the Feminine Reconnection event. And it's free. I mean, fucking how wild is that? So what I've done is I've invested this time, money, energy, and also invested in myself, right? Because this means that I get to upgrade my leadership. I get to do something new. I get to have beautiful new women in my space. And I also get to reconnect even deeper. So this weekend that just went, I decided to get rid of all distractions. And this is what I really want to talk about today because this was actually quite hilarious. And I think you'll all resonate with probably some or most of this. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do what some of my coach does, some of the other women that I am in containers with, talk about taking 5 days off social media and technology and all things, turning your phone off, just fucking off for 5 days. And I'm always been like, that'd be so cool. But because of the military and having to be on and always working, if you turned your phone off and they called you, God forbid you didn't answer, all hell would break loose. So I was like, oh my God, that seems like a dream. Anyway, then I realized I actually have the time and space to do it. Crazy. And I thought, fuck it, I'm going to do it for 2 days, right? I thought I'd start small, not work too hectic, and realize also that this was a really inconvenient time to decide to do this, right? Like I have my event on Saturday coming, so on the 19th, and then I have, my retreat coming after that. And I was like, really right now, I get to keep allowing myself to, promote, be with it. But then I was like, wait a minute, I get to reconnect. This is the whole point of this event, right? So it takes women who feel like they've got the weight of the world on their shoulders, right? I'm sure we can all relate to this. Burnt out, feeling tired, just feeling like you're always giving to other people and you're not actually receiving back. And so this event, the Feminine Reconnection, is a 3-hour event, which if you're in Sydney and you don't have a ticket yet, go get a ticket. It's free. It is going to be the most incredible Saturday morning you have ever had. And I'm literally gifting women cookies because they're fucking delicious and my friend makes the most amazing cookies. So why the fuck not? Also, I'm giving them like food, like pastries, tea and coffee, all of that on arrival because you get to receive, right? You get to receive in all aspects. And then we're going to go through this incredible day where we work through all of what, my mouth to lioness framework, all of these beautiful things, right? Mind, body, and soul, fully integration, because I want you to actually feel as a woman how you get to receive in integrating and transforming your life, right? That is my whole thing. I help women integrate and be with how they can move things through their body, their mindset, and spiritually, right? Mind, body, and soul. That is my whole thing. So there's going to be light codes, light language, all of the beautiful pieces. They're going to drop into their bodies. They're going to release anything they've been holding on to. They're going to allow themselves to receive and have a space to breathe whilst feeling supported, loved, and honored in their journey that is their own individual journey, right? With other women who are there to do the same thing. And this is magnetic as fuck because it means that we create this beautiful vortex of women who are choosing themselves in deep leadership. And I love this stuff. Like I fucking love it. And we choose every day of our life how we lead it, right? So I was like, how do I lead myself deeper so I can hold these women in the depths of this? So I was like, I'm going to disconnect from, my phone, the internet, all the things. Okay, let me tell you how this went. Because I only half-heartedly did it, let's be real. I thought, fuck yeah, I'm going to kill this. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to turn my phone off. And then my VA said to me on Friday, she had to postpone, posting, doing the things because she was going to come in on Saturday and, do it instead, just because, sometimes in the Philippines, there's not always this good connection. So she couldn't come in. And I was like, that's fine, all good. But I was like, fuck, I have to leave my phone on because I approve edits and tell her to post and do all these things. Anyway, so I left my phone on, but I chose to put it away. So I didn't really have it around me all day. I went for a walk with Piper without it. I chose to, and I went really well. Like until I would only periodically check. Like I think maybe once or twice in the day I just checked to see if she had sent anything. And then I put the phone back. And there was one time when I periodically checked that I quickly looked on Instagram and I liked a photo of a friend of mine who it was her son's birthday. And I was like, oh, and then I was like, get off the phone, Kadi. Like I had to literally pry myself off. And I was like, oh my God, this is wild how much I use my phone, right? Because I use it for business, because I use it for everything. I'm like addicted. And so I was like, holy shit, this is wild. Like I actually didn't realize how addicted I was to my phone. And then I was like, cool, that's all right. I'm going to sit down and do my event. And like during the day, I was fine because I kind of did things. I walked around. I actually read a book, which was fucking epic. And I'm actually still reading it, which I'm obsessed with. And which is divinely guided as well, a side note, for the event because it's all about the wild woman running with the wolves. If you've ever heard of that book, it's fucking epic. And there's this story about the handless maiden and how women move through different stages of their lives and how we reconnect and how like it's a whole thing. But a little recap is like how we connect with all different phases of going into the underworld and like being with like the devil who comes in and like this old psyche, how the psyche works and how it takes us in and out, right? The devil comes in to like send us a message to like take us out of what we're doing. So we fall back into the old and then we don't keep pursuing the new because we're like, oh, it's safer or we've got this message or maybe it's not meant to work out, which is quite divine because for me in this stage of life, it's like I'm leaving the military, my business is forward and then I'm like, holy shit. There's like these wobbles, right? There's these wobbles and moments where it's like, oh gosh, is this going to work? Is this going to, come off? Am I actually going to get anywhere? Is anyone going to turn up? All of these pieces that have a lot more on them, I guess, than they used to, right? Because I was full-time. Now, I still have the military to support me part-time, so there is no worry about money per se, yet part of me has wanted to fully leave that behind. So the other part of me is like, we get to keep pushing forward so that we can fully leave that behind, right? And though there's always these little moments where it's like the devil comes in and changes the narrative and like puts a bit like, oh, do you trust yourself? Are you worthy? Are you good enough? All these pieces, right? Because you're taking a step outside of the unknown. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're stepping into the void, but you're not quite ready yet, but you're like ready, if that makes any sense. So going this really big transition time of that is like really interesting. And I'm sure the women in the room that I have on Saturday will absolutely get this and they will probably be living this story, which is quite funny. So this is a really cool thing because it shows that what I live before I get there is normally what's happening in the room. So it's kind of interesting when you see and you call in all these beautiful women because they're all there for a reason, right? My guides, everyone has called these, like, them in. I have called them in for a particular beautiful reason. So I was sitting with how the event was going to look and all of a sudden I turn on the TV and go, oh, I'll just watch one movie. Now, TV is another really big thing for me because I live alone and I liked noise. I normally just turn the TV on to have in the background. The problem is I normally sit down and I end up watching it, right? So I end up not doing things because of that. And it normally hits around that afternoon time. So that was kind of dinner time. I think that I turned the TV on and I watched 2 movies. I got some of my event stuff done, but not all of it. And I was like, fuck, I really distract really well. And I got to bed a bit late and I was like, okay, Sunday, we're doing it again. This time, better. So what I did is this time I put Do Not Disturb on my phone. And so, because I was like, oh, nothing's happening Sunday, let's do that. So I put Do Not Disturb on my phone. I'll admit I still looked at it a couple times, but what I did was I couldn't go into social media because it was just the front page and none of my social media apart from TikTok is on my front page, which I've realized I'm going to move. for doing it next time. But it doesn't let you go across. You can go and search other apps, but you can't, you would have to search them to go find them to then go into them. So I was like, I'm not searching them. I'm not going to find them. I'm not going to go in them. And so that was so interesting because it was really, really hard. And the do not disturb was turned off early. So when it hit 8 o'clock and all of a sudden it turned off, which I thought I put it to midnight, but clearly I did not. Of course, I saw stuff and I wanted to go look at it. And so it was a really big thing. But then I was like, it's time to go to bed. So I tried to go to bed early and I could not sleep. It was wild. I didn't go to sleep probably till a bit after midnight in the end. And I put myself to bed at like 9:30. So wild. I did read some of my book for an hour and a half, I think. So I probably didn't go to sleep until 10:30. But my brain was going crazy, right? And because this book was so bloody good, I actually didn't want to put it down, but I was like, Kadi, you get to go to sleep, you get to put it down, right? And I realized how much on the Sunday that I wanted to turn on the TV. Like I actually generally just wanted to turn on. I was like actually struggling to be like, don't turn the TV on. So I then cleaned out a cupboard. I finished the rest of my event slides, which now I'm like, oh my God, I want to make them different and better at all the things anyway, which was great because it helps when you get to revise them and go over them again and again and again, which is amazing. And I was proud of myself for doing the first lot, which is really cool. And then more has just dropped in today and I'm sure it'll keep dropping in for the next few days. So I just get to keep updating it, which is great. So it's so funny because that's also when my VA did all the work on the Sunday. And I was like, of course she did. The time I turn off my phone and well, not turn it off, but put on do not disturb. So what I've learned is I'm addicted to technology and I even use it as a distraction. And one thing I really want to speak into today, which is kind of an interesting topic, probably a bit taboo, but this is what we're here for, right? To be unapologetic. One big thing, and I want to put a bit of a caveat around this, if you are someone who has had sexual trauma, all the things, I'm not going to go into it, but I am going to talk and mention it. So if that is not cool for you, please don't listen to the rest. I mean, I don't think I'll talk about it for the whole time, but I can't guarantee you how long I will. So what I want to talk about is one of the big things with you may have sexual trauma in just having a bad experience. You may have there may be lots of different reasons, right? Or you may have been raped, all the things, right? Things could have happened to you in your sexual experience. Even if you haven't had any, you may still do this. I actually realized that because of the fact that I'd had these experiences, and I didn't realize this till later, I actually struggled to be with my body. And so I would bypass by still getting sexual pleasure through masturbation, but I would do it by watching porn because it would be easier to disassociate and easier to distract myself with something else than to actually feel what my body wanted to feel. And then I'd get the desired result, right? And I find this so intriguing because I was probably years ago now, I'm not even sure, I was talking to these beautiful women that I went away with a basketball trip with. And this actually came up and it was really interesting because we had a lot of different generations here. And it came up talking about like masturbation, sex, all of these things, right? And this is not a big thing that women talk about, which I think we should talk about a lot more often. And this is why I'm bringing this up on this podcast, is because it's so great to explore what you need sexually, especially before you have a partner. And I think the young generation are probably doing this a bit better than we are. Well, personally, that's my experience. Other people may have other experiences. I'd love to hear about them. But what I found in this conversation was the difference between women over the generation. So we had older women than me, and they would talk about, obviously just doing it themselves, I guess. So like, using their hand, masturbating, all the things, making it really normal, or having sex with men, all of these things, right? To get themselves to the point of pleasure. And then it was like kind of like the generation where people had started to get into toys, like sex toys, vibrators, all the things, right? And so this was interesting because sex toys are a great thing for women. And though I still think it's hilarious that we receive them in boxes that like don't have any marking on them, like we're like doing something crazy and taboo and literally men masturbate daily. And so I think it's just really interesting because it's just more accepted for men, right? Like it's just more talked about, whereas women also have needs and also I get to do that. And I'm sure there'll be some men out there that disagree with me and say that, they don't talk about it, but that's cool. That's on you. You talk about it. That's why I'm talking about it right now for women right this second, because we get to speak about pleasure as being a good thing and as you are totally allowed to have as much fucking pleasure as you want. Actually, it's encouraged. You should have all the pleasure every fucking day. And so what I want to talk about this for is because, one, I was noticing that because of my sexual trauma, I would disconnect and disassociate. So porn was a really great way to do that because I'm not in it. I'm just watching something. I'm stimulated. I get what I need and I move on. It happens really quickly, right? And then I actually had to do some real work and I actually help my clients with this if they've had any trauma, because it's about like connecting with your, being with you in your body. And that's a really scary thing when you've had trauma, because a lot of the time can be a hard thing to connect with, also to be with. It's a really big thing. And so there's beautiful, easy ways that we get to connect with our heart and we get to connect with our womb space and we get to actually explore and be with that without it being a big deal. There's lots of little steps that I take women through, which is really beautiful. And I had to go through them myself, right? To actually be connected to my body so that I actually get to be with what that feels like when I have an orgasm, when, I'm feeling pleasure, instead of it just being a disassociation. And what I found on the weekend was on Saturday, amazing, right? Went to it, did all the things, had a really good time, used my imagination, didn't really need anything. It was just all about me, right? Which I think is amazing. And women, we should all be able to do this. No toys, nothing, right? I think that should be part of our system. And we also get to use toys, right? We get to have that as well. But the thing I want to bring up is that on Sunday, I went straight to using my phone and I didn't even think about it. And then afterwards I was like, ooh, wow, that's a really big distraction, right? So these are the different distractions I want to talk about. The other thing, and I want to come back to the women when I was talking to them at basketball, because the older generations were talking about that, right? Doing it yourself, having fun, exploring yourself, being with your body. Beautiful, right? And then we have, the toys, which are also really, really helpful and really great. And though the young generation were bringing the toys to the point where when they would have sex with a man, they actually couldn't get off from oral because of the fact that they had put these toys on such a fucking hectic vibration. They pretty much fucking, vibrated their clit off. And then that means that they can't even stimulate themselves. If they don't have a vibrator with them everywhere they go, literally in their handbag, I don't know how they were going to get off. Do you know what I mean? Do you get it? So I think this is a really wild thing. Distraction can come in so many forms, right? So it can come in the form of TV. It can come in the form of social media. It can come in the form of masturbation or porn in that way, or vibrators, or all of these things, right? So many ways that we can distract from our own life so that we actually miss what's happening. And what I'm learning, the more I reconnect with myself even deeper, the more I catch these pieces, right? Because awareness is the first piece, is that I actually get to see what is distraction and what is me connecting. And how is society influencing that? Because even through this weekend, I had this big thing of like, who am I? Who am I becoming? Who do I want to be? All of these things, right? And I've always wanted to talk about this subject and I've never done it. So this is new me of also talking about the taboo subjects. There are so many ways we can distract. There are also ways that we can honor ourselves in the fact that sometimes you need to get something out quickly. Sometimes you don't have a lot of time to develop and go with what you're going with. Sometimes you need a little bit of inspiration, right? And though, how do we get to have all of these coexist and it not be something that we go to distract ourselves, but something we use as a tool? And I want to talk about this in coaching and self-development too. There are so many people out there that are selling these incredible products, right? These incredible things, these incredible ways for us to navigate different parts of our lives. And though, how do we do that with the product and then without the product, or with the person without the person. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do we get to have a bit of an all-rounded, reconnected, what do you actually enjoy moment? Because let's be real, sometimes you really just enjoy your vibrator and it's fucking amazing, right? Sometimes you want to play with a sex toy and that's great. Sometimes you actually generally want to do it yourself because you're like, I actually want to feel and be with myself. Sometimes you think about yourself because you're hot as fuck, right? That is definitely a thing. And so sometimes you also want some inspiration of watching some porn, right? That's all. It's all perfect. And though, what do you truly get to do to reconnect with you? Because this is the piece, right? We do some of these things out of purely unconscious programming of ourselves, like through our life, or society, or rebellion, or all of these pieces. As women, there's so many ways that we can do this and reasons why. So what I really wanted to explore was, why am I doing that? Why do I turn on the TV? Like, what do I actually get out of it? And so a lot of the time I was like, oh, well, yes, sometimes it's a nice feeling and sometimes you get to rest. But actually what I noticed on Sunday, one, I got way more done, which is amazing because I wasn't distracting myself with something that I actually didn't need to watch and was not actually doing anything for me. And two, I actually got to be present with what I was feeling. And this is the real piece with the reconnection, is sometimes these distractions are taking us away from feeling what's in our body and what we truly need. And there are so many distractions in life. It's actually fucked up. We are being asked to assimilate more and more information than we ever have in our whole entire life. We are being asked to literally take it in, and our mind is meant to process, delete, distort all of these things based on our experiences, take in what it thinks is necessary, get rid of what it thinks it's not, all the time, like more than we've ever had to in our lives. And so what I'm noticing is that I want to come back to basics. Like, I generally, when I did and I realized how much was sitting in my body, there was a lot for me to sit with. I journaled like a motherfucker. I'm pretty sure I nearly finished a whole book journaling because the weekend I had so much to get out. And it was because I had time and space, because I allowed myself to not let other distractions come in. I actually got to see who I truly was and what I truly wanted. And that's a really big piece that we're missing in today's society. We're running from one thing to the next. We're moving faster than ever. We are answering 100 more calls, texts, social media posts, all of these things. Like, we're always on the go. It's actually wild how much we consume in a day. And it's just hitting that dopamine, right? And what we're not doing is allowing ourselves to breathe, to be, to actually work out what we want. And so this is what I love about these spaces is, and this is the same for my retreat, it's about getting away from everything and actually allowing yourself to disconnect from all of these distractions, to disconnect from everything around you and actually start to realize what you need. Because here's another piece. We get to do this in our daily lives, but it can be quite difficult. And so what coaching does is it allows you to have someone to support you to keep implementing these habits and these factors and all of these pieces. And yes, you can do it yourself. You don't need a coach. However, it's really nice to be supported and loved. That is what I have found. And I actually really love sharing that with someone. And yes, you can have, your partner, you can have friends, all of these beautiful pieces. And there's something beautiful about having everyone, right? And your family and all of that to share this with, and in different ways, because let's be honest, you're not going to share everything the same way with every person in your life. And I think that's perfect too. And so it's about coming back to, what do you truly want that's not just society, not your family, not a religion, not anything else from anyone else, but from you. From your connection with God, spirit, universe, all of the pieces. How do you actually connect into that? Do you give yourself time and space for that? Do you give yourself time and space for what truly serves you? If someone says to you, you have to go to the gym 5 times a week, do you just go because you're told you have to go? Or do you generally actually work out what that means to you? Like, maybe for you, it's only 3 times a week. Maybe it's about sitting in ceremony a couple of times a week. Maybe it's about actually just asking yourself, what do I want right now? Like, I think that's where we start. Who are you becoming? Who do you want to be? I think it's a really good question, because when we start to look at it from a lens of connection to our body and to ourself and to our heart and to our womb space and to what we've actually been created to do, and allow ourselves to not use these things as distractions and actually use them powerfully as tools to assist us in life, right? To learn, to grow, to allow ourselves to actually honor what we need and how we get to play and have fun and joy and peace and love and all of these things in our life. But the more we compound and add on, the less present we are, the less we get to be with ourselves. And the most important part of this life is to be with you and work out what you want. Because when you fill your cup, as you know, when you put on your face mask first in the aeroplane, you actually then can help others. But until you do that, until you invest in yourself in any way, shape or form, right? For me, this afternoon, I'm going to go get a massage because that's so beautiful, and I get to receive and I get to be in the abundance of myself, and I get to keep honoring what I need, because I genuinely need that today. And so I ask you, like, what do you need? What is something that you actually want to do for you? It can be really small. Literally, like I was saying, I was reading a book and I was painting yesterday. It was wild on, Saturday. And all I did was take Piper for a walk 2 days in a row, and we just went and had fun in nature. Things that actually serve me and her, which was really beautiful. And so how can we have less distractions? How can we honor time for ourselves, for our family, for all of the things, right? And it's even made me think, like, when I'm with family, why don't I turn my phone off? Like, why don't I allow myself to be more present? Because it can sometimes annoy me when it goes off, and I'm very easy to look at it, right? Because, oh gosh, what is it? And you know what? I missed nothing on Sunday with not having my phone, and time on Saturday either. I didn't miss anything. Nothing that I couldn't catch up with, literally today. And it was really beautiful to honor that. At moments, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And though, I actually feel so much better. And I feel like I get to know more about me, and I get to see more about what I want, which is a true gift and something that I don't think we're allowing enough in our lives at the moment. So I put this to you. How can you reconnect with yourself? How can you honor something for you today? And maybe even something a little, like even 5 minutes each day for the rest of the week. Like, how can you do this? How can you honor who you're becoming? How can you allow the fact that distractions are going to be there, and it's okay? I mean, nothing about what happened on the weekend is wrong or bad, or I didn't fuck it up. It just was a learning experience. I just got to see how much I was dependent on things. And I also got to see how often I'm distracted and how often I'm present. So it just gave me another perspective, and it was really beautiful. And even when I was out on walks, I actually got to experience things even deeper, which was so magical and something I didn't know was possible. But I cannot wait to share this with the women that are coming on Saturday. So if you are in Sydney, come and join me. It's going to be epic as, honestly, to reconnect with you is such a beautiful thing. I actually just feel amazing, and it actually has set me up. I even have this week set up fully, like this diary with all the bits. So I get to honor myself in all parts of this week, which is fucking wild. So honor yourself. How can you do that even deeper? How can you reconnect? How can you get rid of distractions? How can you honor what you truly need in this life? I want you to really sit with it. And I'd love to hear how you end up going. So please write comments, send me a DM on Instagram, Facebook, all the things. I would love to know about it. And I wish you the most incredible, unapologetically wild day. And I hope that you really honor you today. I love you, and I'll see you next time.